Dirty.com.
Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
Whoa, now. What's happening, good people? What's going on with ya? Hoping everybody is having a good day. Hoping everybody is all right. Are you all right? I hope you're all right. A lot to talk about. Short time to talk about it in, but we're going to get it in. We're going to get it in. I've been gone for a couple of days. And, man, I got out of here. Well, actually, I'll tell you what happened. My aunt died passed last week, and I had to get out of here and go and check her out and go see my other folks, make sure that they was all right. My cousins, that's on my daddy's side, so I hadn't seen them in so long, and most of it is my fault because I've just been down here, and everybody in my family, as far as my cousins are concerned, are up north. I'm the only one that's somewhere down south, and I just couldn't get away. So, with that being said, I got a chance to see them. And when I did, we all had a reunion. But unfortunately, it was a reunion because all of us hadn't seen each other for so many years, and it was on the death of my aunt. So, in some senses, it was a good thing for us to be able to see one another and have another conversation. And on the other part of it, it was, everybody mourning the death of my aunt. That's my daddy's sister. So, may she rest in peace. May she rest in peace. But on the other hand, too, got a chance to, and I don't want to say this like I just don't like it here. It was a good chance for me to get away. You ever thought about that? Sometimes you just need to get away. I just need to get away for a minute. So I got a chance to get away. Went up to North Carolina, hung out with my sister. And then after I left there, I went to Norfolk, Virginia for the funeral and got a chance to see my other folks. And was hanging out there. So I got a lot of text messages from you all. Thank you all for the concern and the condolences for all those that got a chance to go on my Facebook page and saw what we posted and saw the photos. I appreciate it. But we back. We are back. Now, let me tell y'all what's going on up north. First of all, they are in a primary in Virginia for elections for attorney general, district attorney. This is in Norfolk. They got some for the state that are going on too. But I got a chance to see their government channel. They got a government channel up there just like we do. And I was looking at some of the government stuff that's going on. It wasn't that bad, but and it wasn't those commercials just slamming one another. It was them talking about themselves. And I figured that somebody got the facts of why should I take my money and the time that I have that I'm paying for to talk about you and what you're not doing? Why wouldn't I take the time to talk about what I am doing? So that was one thing that I saw that was different. But the thing that got me the most was that there's this government show of, it's two guys. I didn't even get the names because I wasn't paying attention at first. I'll tell you what caught my attention. When I tell you what caught my attention, y'all gonna go, what? What caught my attention was the fact that somebody flashed a photo of J.P. Morrell on there, talking about the city council of New Orleans. And they flashed a photo, and I was walking by the TV, and I turned, That's Mr. Red Bottoms. So I stopped and I wanted to see what the guy was going to say. And the guy dogged him. I mean, when I tell you dogged him, he was like, I'm so glad we don't have no stuff like this going on in our city where you got this one fighting against this one and this one fighting against another elected official and just dogging them out. And he started talking about the escape. He started talking about the escape. He started talking about something else too. I think it was Troy. And he said, this dude is on the city council. And if he's with him being on the city council, you would think that he would be into helping instead of dogging everybody out. And said when he got into doing his due diligence, what he found out was that this guy dogs everybody that's black. I was like, wow. I never thought about it like that. Said if you go back and you start looking at their meetings, he never dogs anybody that's white. He always dogs the folks that are black. I was like, wow. And then he started talking about, contract holders, other elected officials. So he said they figured that he's probably doing the work of other people. I was like, wow. Never thought about it like that either. Yeah, I did. I'm just saying that to be saying it. Doing the work of other people. But if they picked it up over 900 miles away, what does that say? I stood there for a minute and my sister looked at me and she was like, that's your people? I was like, let's refrain from saying that. And let's just say that's one of the people that supposedly works for city council. She said, nah, that's your city council president. I'm like, yeah. True. But as I was listening to the show, it kind of made me ask the question, are they wrong for what they're saying? Because what they were actually saying is, how does a person that holds such a high-powered position in city government not offer a helping hand to other officials that need it? I thought that was your job. And I said to myself, he hit it on the head. And said he's sitting there dogging another elected official and not saying what his responsibility is at all. Y'all know I was trying to find a telephone number because I was going to call in. I don't know if they were live or not. I couldn't get it, and I ain't had time. I had to go to the funeral. I was trying to figure it out, but I couldn't at the time. So, of course, what did I do? I went on ahead and wrote a good commentary piece. I had some time. So I went on ahead and wrote a good commentary piece. And that commentary piece, y'all, it makes you think. It really does. What? Yeah, it really does make you think. It makes you think to the point where you're sitting around and saying, damn, that is true, huh? So when other folks in other parts of the town, other parts of the country are talking about you, what does that make us look like? So I wrote this piece. It starts off with, I went out of town this week to several different states. And as I visited Virginia, I always like to check out the local politics and see how far off we are with the rest of the world. I stood in the middle of my floor with a mouth wide open as one of the talk show hosts brought up the bickering that is happening here in New Orleans. The talk show host started with calling the council finger pointing and not taking their part of responsibility in fixing infrastructure that needs to be repaired in its buildings, and in particular, the jailbreak. So it is interesting to hear the council president ask who built the facility and not know it's the same contractor you all signed off to build the mental health wing of the jail that's going on now. You didn't know? Y'all are the financial responsibility of the city, and y'all are paying them millions to build this thing, and you didn't know? The host of the talk show in Virginia went on to talk about how he is criticizing the sheriff. But if she wanted to, she could arrest him for accepting stolen property, those so-called keys, and then calling an employee that has been released from their job and duties a whistleblower. No, you are accepting stolen property. Now he has started these online videos that do nothing except criticize African-American contract holders, the sheriff, and the mayor, but has not said one thing about any contract holders or any other position that is held by someone who may be Caucasian or any other nationality. You can tell that this is vicious, intentional, Trump-like, and in my opinion, asinine. The city is responsible for the upkeep of all city infrastructure. If you didn't know, there is an ordinance that states so. Too many people, a council president that disrespects other elected officials, point the fingers at anyone and everyone else, and doesn't take responsibility for its own ineptness. It is not something that represents me or you. It's something that they are fictitiously putting in place. Badgering and childish pointing the finger in social media videos makes this city look really stupid. It took me to go out of town and see somebody else talking about it and laughing at us, the representation of us, to realize that. And at least that's what the rest of the world thinks about you. If you're looking for media time, let's see, can we get you on an audition for the next version or next movie shooting of Dumb and Dumber? Let's take the break. We'll take the break. We'll come back. We'll have some conversation with our folks in just a minute. Doc, hold on. We're coming right back. Let's take this break.
Hey, this is Steve Poston. Be sure to listen to WBOK 1230 AM every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. and Sunday evening at 5 p.m., bringing you the best Southern Soul barroom music with the Southern Soul Weekend Party Mix, hosted by me, of course. I'll be playing your favorite Southern Soul music by artists from all over the South, right here on WBOK 1230 AM or online at WBOK1230.com. The station you listen to longer. Listen to longer. Listen to longer.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana communities through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation, please visit us at www.jazzandheritage.org.
Hi, this is Arnie Filko. Let's elevate every Tuesday through Thursday from 6 to 7 o'clock p.m. as we discuss the community, the country, and the world, from politics to current events to sports. We look forward to your input and continuing the quality programming on your community station, WBOK. Join Carrie and I every Tuesday through Thursday, 6 to 7 o'clock p.m. on Elevated Conversations, the Arnie and Carrie Show. See you soon.
Hey, New Orleans, look for important changes to your natural gas service. This summer, Delta Utilities takes over for Entergy Gas with a Louisiana-born, Louisiana-based approach to safe, clean, reliable natural gas. No interruptions or rate changes due to the transition, just dependable service and modernized technology to keep you running smoothly. Get to know us at deltautilities.com and stay tuned for more later this summer. Delta Utilities, focused on natural gas, committed to New Orleans.
Fresh produce, local flavor, and a healthy you. New Orleans East Hospital is hosting a farmers market the last Wednesday of every month from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Join us in the parking lot across from the main entrance. Support local farmers and your wellness. We'll see you there.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM. Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. Hey, gotta let you know, coming up the 28th of June. It gives you, 2 more weeks? At 2800 Perdido Street. It's OPSO. It is the Sheriff's Department. They got a job fair. They are looking for accountants, managers of the kitchen warehouse, general maintenance, engineers, and they're trying to recruit, trying to get to people that want to be deputies. If you want to be a deputy and you want to go through it's not a whole bunch of rigorous training, but you got to go through some training. This is your time and opportunity. The job fair is going to be on June 28th. Now, with that said, for my people, I'm talking about anybody. Y'all my people. Baby, I'm going to tell you in advance. Don't come in there thinking that you're going to get hired and you can't pass a drug test. You smoking, you sniffing, you on something. Don't come to fill out no paperwork if you cannot pass a drug test. That's a big problem. Please. I'm just giving you if you are, get clean now. Start getting clean now. Just start getting clean right now because you need to. I'm just saying that is a problem. Oh, Lord. All right, let me go. Is that Dr. Sayika? Oh,
Yes, sir.
What? I come back and look what I'm privy to. Let me bow to thee. Mm-hmm. How you doing?
Oh, hey, man, I'm doing. I've had some problems catching your show. I can catch the front porch, but after that, I don't know what I can catch on BOK. Something happened, and I used to catch Tavis Smiley at 1 o'clock, and you were coming after him, and that got turned around. So my computer and me cannot figure out when to catch what.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And each day it varies. I can't get Tavis anymore at all.
I don't know what it is either.
I have to play around with it to get you. Some days I may be able to catch you. Some days I may not. So I don't know what happened. There was some work that I had done on my computer, and I know some of my settings
They probably
got
changed up your
changed.
settings. Probably changed
Yeah,
up all your settings.
yeah. But I mean, you're on regularly at 3 o'clock now, is it?
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock.
Yep.
Yeah,
Four,
four to six.
Yep. 4 to 6.
What happened to your third hour?
2 days because the 6 o'clock hour is taken by Arnie and Carrie. They come on at 6 to 7 on Tuesday through Thursdays.
So you on every day though? 4 to
4
6.
o'clock. For Monday's supposed to be 4 to 7 and Friday's 4 to 7, but usually it's from 4 to 6 every other day.
Oh, okay. And is Tavis still on? What happens to that 1 to 4?
He's still on. He's still on. Moved him up to 1 o'clock.
Okay. Well, I haven't been able to catch him. Well, I'll have to figure out how to do that. And my diligence just told me to keep trying. And today I got lucky. I said, "Whoa, look at
I
here!"
was wondering. I was like, well, I wonder where Doc is. I know Doc gonna call me on this. And now I got to ask you, what did you think about this No King's Day rallies that they had all over the country?
Oh man, I am excited. I am very excited that better than 5 million people showed up to say no King's Day. I think it's just one more example of the movement of the people in this country who are saying no to most everything that the Trump administration is putting out there. And there were black people involved in the No Kings. I mean, there were not massive numbers as though there was the March on Washington, but there were enough black people present to signify that we are part of that coalition that is arguing the same premise that we do not want to see an autocratic government in this country, because that's not going to work for us. We think this man has gone way over the top. That he is violating even the norms that we understood, however imperfect they were.
Right.
He's violating all of that. I mean, we've always known that the Trump administration is not going to be good for black folks, and that's the bottom line. Except now he's moving on every other group that he can, that he thinks might be opposing anything that is on his agenda. I mean, his line is to lock him up.
But I thought too, though, Doc, that it was against the Constitution for any type of military action.
You're right. I heard you say that. You're right.
And that's posse comitatus, correct?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But here's what you have to understand of what's happening. What this man is doing is trying to create circumstances that this country will be perceived as in danger and out of control for him to declare a national emergency, which then would allow him to suspend the Constitution and do what he wants to do, including using the military to suppress dissent. He already said before he was elected that was on his agenda. That's on Project 2025. All that's there. And every time people talk about the Constitution, he doesn't care about the Constitution, because he knows the Supreme Court is not going to find him guilty of committing a crime. And so he's pushing the limit of the Constitution and what the Constitution can and cannot control in this country, as they are trying to destroy the norms that we understand as democracy and establish an authoritarian regime, because that's their agenda. They don't give a damn about what the Constitution says. They want to liquidate the Constitution anyway.
So what I'm hearing,
though, have a third term.
But what I'm hearing though is Gavin Newsom out in California took him to court and sued, and supposedly has won. But as I read with posse comitatus in the Act of 1878, it says that
I know. Gee, but what I'm saying to you is that doesn't matter to him. None of that. What's in the Constitution doesn't matter to the man. They are trying to liquidate the Constitution, make it irrelevant, so that they will have complete capacity to be an authoritarian regime. And the Supreme Court has already told him that as long as he's acting as president, he cannot commit a crime and be responsible for it.
That is true.
And so that's what he's doing. He's pushing the envelope to the limit, to the point that he intends to see the Constitution liquidated if he can get away with doing that. Then all the norms and freedoms that we have in that document become irrelevant to him. That's the agenda. That is absolutely what they are trying to do, and they're going to keep pushing and keep pushing to see exactly how far they can go without mass pushback. Now, I think the risk they're taking right now is that there will be more mass pushback of the kind they found on No King's Day.
Mm-hmm.
That they can reach a point that the citizenry decides, as Dr. King had decided, to bring the government to a halt.
Yep. That's my scare, because I'm thinking that we're getting ready to see a revolt like we have never seen one in the history of America.
Of this country.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think that there's the real chance and the real possibility that that's the way we could be heading. And I think he's desirous of pushing us to that point so that he can declare there's a national emergency and give him grounds to claim he must suspend the Constitution anyway.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to get there, and once he gets there, and then he can move to suspend. And again, the Supreme Court said, hey, he can't commit a crime. And so suspending the Constitution at that point will not be a criminal act. And that means that everything that's in the Constitution does not have, nothing that's in there has to be honored or respected.
Mm.
That will become a very, very, very dangerous time and dangerous point in this country.
Right.
And Lord help us if it gets that bad. I hope it doesn't get that bad. But I think the other thing that's going to happen, and the conscious ones among us have been organizing for some time, is to force the economic institutions of this country to pressure the oligarchs and the economic system in the country to force him to understand that he can't operate the country anymore
mm-hmm.
with the behavior that he engages in, because that's one way we can make sure that we can stop that the government, and what it is doing is to make it cost so much for them to do that it becomes inoperative. Because when the money gets uncomfortable and they start losing even more than they're losing right now, they're already very, very scared. But if they start losing much more than they are now, that's why this movement among the preachers is so important. Somebody was talking about, where are the preachers? Where are the preachers? Well, you're not listening if you don't know where they are, because they are the leaders in this fast, this Target fast that's
mm-hmm.
going on in the country, and it is hurting Target like hell. And it's going to get, that movement's going to get broader and deeper, where a whole lot of other people will join in those fasts and join in those boycotts of several companies selectively right down the line. That kind of pressure will be impossible to be sustained by the government. The government will not be able to sustain what it is doing if you link policies to the withdrawal of economic resources from selective institutions in the country. And that's one of the things that the pastors themselves, led by Jamal Bryant, and on this Thursday in Baltimore, the preachers have something called Black Church PAC, Political Action Committee. And they're having a national gathering in Baltimore, Maryland, 2 days, talking about the state of the people. That's what they're calling it. And it's supposed to be some effort somewhat similar to Gary. I don't know if it's going to get that big, but I know there's a massive undertaking that is taking place, and this is the progressive arm, of the pastors, and part of their group is also called Live Free Action, led by Pastor McBride
mm-hmm.
out there in the West Coast. That's the brother who's done all that work on containing gun violence and as a model for how that works successfully. But he's a well-known, younger clergy person, may not be well-known to everybody, but he has a substantial organization that he has been working on putting together, he and some other clergy people over time, and they have achieved, I think, a high degree of success in what they're doing. And so they're having a mass gathering on Thursday in Baltimore, and I'm going to be waiting to see what comes out of it. I'm in active communication with them about the things that they're doing, and what they're doing I find to be very impressive. Now, these are not pastors that that people in New Orleans necessarily know by name, but there are, I think, pastors in New Orleans who do know the group that I'm talking about, and what they are doing. They have not reached the point where they're in the eyesight of the national media yet. They haven't reached that level. They reached the Jamal Bryant level when they first announced the fast against Target. That did become national. Mm-hmm. But this broader effort, I think after Thursday we'll see a little more PR that lets people see the engagement and involvement of black clergy people and the black church in these efforts. So the black church is doing something, and not every church is doing something, not every pastor is doing something, but I'm saying they are organizing and they are in motion, and they're doing the right things, they're saying the right things, they're doing the right things, and they are not afraid. They are not afraid of this administration, and they're not afraid to speak truth to power from their pulpits. They're not afraid to march and demonstrate and boycott and do whatever it takes. This is an interesting movement of the clergy. So people who want to criticize them can do so, but you need to understand what the clergy are doing before you just render broad criticisms that no preachers are doing anything or no churches are doing anything. That's just not so. That's not active. So there's another group called Black Men Win with Black Men. That's another group that's having a national process. They're going around the country, and I know they've got 15 to 20 cities that they have already tapped into, and it's like trying to organize black men about strategic engagement in political action. That's impressive because it's not been done before, and it's simply called Unmute, Win with Black Men. It's that simple. And they're holding these listening sessions around the country, trying to gather information, trying to get black men engaged and organized around political action and visible political action, and not having to wait for what any of the parties have to say, but what do we have to say? Mm-hmm. And that's new and different, and that's good. And another effort is something called the Working Families Party. They engage in electoral action when they need to, but they aren't like a traditional political party because they are an activist organizing group. In addition to electoral politics, they're primarily concentrated on the East Coast. So people are doing things. People are in motion. People are aware of what is going on. They are clear about where we stand, in this struggle, and I think that we are in a good place for ourselves, and a good place to take some lead in this agenda of trying to establish a new kind of democracy in this country, because that's what this struggle is going to be all about. And we have to be involved in this struggle because we have been targeted. I mean, the DEI initiative that they've launched, we have been targeted, and it's very clear that the MAGA people in this administration would just as soon put us back on the plantation. Any Negro out there who is unclear about that needs his head or her head examined. If they somehow think there's something good in this administration for black people, I don't know what somebody's been drinking or smoking, but you sure need your head examined if you think this administration is interested in the good and well-being of our people. You're not listening. You're not seeing what the data is telling us. They are assaulting black people whenever they get a chance to do politically and culturally and historically. They're assaulting. And, once you assault at that level, then it's the next level of physical arrest, comes with it. Because once they start this movement, they're going to try to start to find a way to do the same thing to black people that is happening to Hispanics. Mm-hmm. For Hispanics, they're just rounding them up right now. They can easily decide to round up black people as suspects. They can declare it if you have the suspension of the Constitution and the national emergency. you can just black people become suspects. That's what you do. That's what you do. You identify and say who your adversaries are, and you lock them up.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to be very, very clear that we are a high level of target for all those MAGA people, and we are subject to being incarcerated because we are a danger to this country. That is really a possibility that could happen. So we should be clear. And today they've come for the Hispanics, and today and tomorrow they'll come for us, and then anybody else who they think opposes them. So I think we just need to be clear that what time it is in history, in the times that we are living in, and what is our relative position. We are considered a danger to any right-wing movement in this country. Considers black people a danger to America.
Mm-hmm.
And we are a danger to the world as they perceive it, because the statistics tell them that in 25 years they will be the minority. And black people and progressive white people and all other groups will be the majority. That's the deep fear that I think we see in this country. And that's why they went to South Africa with a fake move and bringing some white people back in here talking about some white genocide in South Africa, which was fake and it was a big lie.
Right. And I think one of those that they brought over here has already committed a major crime, killed his wife.
Wow.
So if I'm not mistaken, that was in the news probably like last week or week before last, and they were keeping it very quiet. So.
Yeah, well, they're trying to find some white people. I mean, they're making it clear, G.
Mm-hmm.
It's abundantly clear what their agenda is, and that's why we are as vulnerable as anybody else. That they want to reduce our numbers, in order to increase their numbers so that they can maintain power and stay in control. That's what their fear is, that they're going to lose control. And once they lose control, what's going to happen to them?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the fear that they have, too. What's going to happen to the MAGA people? I don't mean all white people, because all white people are not involved in this.
Mm-hmm.
But some of them are. And we have to be very clear that, there are some white folks who are vulnerable for a different reason. They're vulnerable if they speak out.
Yep, they are.
If you speak out for justice and righteousness, or you stand up for anybody who is being abused or misused or messed over by this administration, you are vulnerable. You are vulnerable. So I just say to people, listen, you need to keep your eyes and your ears open at multiple levels. You need to understand the various ways that this administration is attacking, and they're leaving nobody out.
None.
They're attacking everybody who opposes them.
All right, Doc, I got you. But look, I got to take my break. Always good to hear from you, though.
Well, it's good to hear from you, and it's good to be able to say hello to you, too, because I have missed being able to do that. But I didn't give up trying. I just said I'm going to keep on trying till I catch it.
Well, we appreciate
and I was
you.
just fortunate enough to catch it today, and I'm glad to be able to say hello to you and to the WBOK family out there. Hello. It's good to be back.
Well, thank you, Doc. We appreciate you much. Take care and tell the wife I said hello.
Okay, my brother.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
Peace and love. All
right.
Bye-bye.
All right, more coming up, y'all. We got to take a break here. We'll come back and take some more of your telephone calls. And also, I'll give you a 10-year anniversary remembrance. What are you talking about, Gerard? I'll tell you in a minute. Everybody hold tight. More coming up next.
Hello, friend. Tavis Smiley here with a special announcement. You can catch my show at a new time. Weekdays from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Same great topics, same great guests, same great conversations, just a little earlier in the day. It's Tavis Smiley, weekdays 1 to 4 p.m. only on WBOK 1230 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about.
NOLA Public Schools is excited for the rest of this 24-25 school year journey with our families, watching our students dive into learning, growth, and success. As the school year continues, our dedicated educators are focused on keeping every student engaged and motivated. Let's keep embracing new challenges, celebrating achievements, and supporting each other to make the rest of this year even more impactful. Stay connected with your school and NOLA PS through our social media channels for updates and resources. We're here to help our scholars attend today, achieve tomorrow.
I'm Wendell Pierce.
Thanks for making WBOK your station. WBOK.
Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. Gerard Stevens with you. It is, I was going to say today Monday, but today is Tuesday. It was on the evening of June 17th, 2015. That's what I was trying to tell you about what happened, 10 years ago? It was a racially motivated shooting during a Bible study, of all places, Bible study, at the historic downtown church that left 9 people dead 10 years ago today. And the Low Country was forever changed. Church members gathered at the Emmanuel AME Church and welcomed a young man for fellowship and prayer. After roughly an hour into the Bible study, the shooter pulled out a gun and began to open fire while making racially inflammatory remarks. State Senator Reverend Clemente C. Pinckney, Cynthia Graham Hurd, Susie Jackson, Ethel Lee Lance, DePayne Middleton Doctor, Tawanza Saunders, the Reverend Daniel Simmons, Sharonda Coleman Singleton, and Myra Thompson were killed. He was seen on the church's surveillance video leaving with a gun still in his hand. 5 people survived the shooting, including Felicia Saunders, the mother of Tawanza Saunders, and her 5-year-old granddaughter, Kimya Manigault, along with Polly Shepard. Jennifer Pinckney, the wife of Reverend Clemente Pinckney, and their daughter, 6-year-old Milana, were in Reverend Pinckney's office across the hall at the time of the shooting. The shooter told some of the survivors that he wanted them to tell the world what had happened that night. Word of the shooting began to spread. Law enforcement was quickly on the scene and locked the area down as they searched for the suspect. It was about 11 p.m. when officers described the suspect. Not long after, a bystander who matched the description was detained nearby and later released after questioning. In the early morning hours, then Mayor Joe Riley and Chief of Police Greg Mullins delivered news about what happened inside of the church. To have an awful person come in and shoot them is inexplicable. I said but it's inexplicable. Obviously, the most intolerable and unbelievable act possible. Despite a killer still on the run, people gathered in downtown Charleston, offering prayer, crying, still wondering what had happened inside the historic church. I'll never forget that day we were sitting here and having a conversation about that shooting, watching the television and see how long it was going to take law enforcement to pick up on this gentleman and get him in custody or have a gun battle or whatever it was. What made a lot of us totally upset about this issue was, number one, the shooting and the loss of life to our people, especially those that were holding church service, Bible study, and then invited this person into the Bible study, and you pulled a gun out in church and shot those folks. That's number one. The second part of this about Mr. Roof, Dylan Roof, was the fact that when law enforcement did get him into custody, they put him in the back of the car, and he said, "I'm hungry." And they took him through the drive-through of a McDonald's. Was it Burger King? It was Burger King? A fast food joint to get him something to eat. What? After this monster did what he did, they still fed him. And the majority of us were still enraged. I was. And then I watched the news the next morning as those folks that were related to the victims in that church shooting were visiting the scene. And as the cameras were rolling and the reporters were asking the questions, I don't know if I was spiritual or religious that day, but I learned a whole lot because those folks, I was mad for them. But as the reporters asked them, well, what's next? What do you feel? How do you feel? And one of the daughters of a mother that had been killed said, we forgive them. I think the rage of me said, I'd probably say, I forgive you after I put a couple of bullets in you. And then I learned through my religious partners that that wasn't for him. That was for them, that forgiving. So you're not walking around with a heavy heart, rage, and any other detrimental feelings for the remainder of your days. But I said to myself, somebody just took your mama. Somebody just took your sister, your father. How easy would it be for you to say that you forgive that person? That's something to think about. How easy would it be for you to say that you forgive the person that took their lives? And I had to be honest with everybody, just like I was with myself. I wasn't going to sit up here behind this microphone and say, oh, yeah, it was going to be easy for me to say, I forgive you in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. No, it was not going to be that easy for me. I just wanted everybody to understand that if that was one of my loved ones, that was my mother, my sister, my pastor, whoever, I was going to be that person to tell you, do you forgive him? And I'd be saying, I'm a person still in work. I got work to do. Before I can say that, I have to work on myself. I don't know how long that work was going to take. So 10 years ago today is where all that happened at the Mother Emanuel Church in Charleston, South Carolina. Just something to remember. Just something to remember. Also, I wanted to let everybody know that Entergy, here we go with Entergy again. They were planning a 7-hour outage on today. Now, I know that I was gone for a week, but I wanted to ask you all, did anybody ask them why we have this monstrosity of a power plant that is just sitting in New Orleans East? And you can't tell me why it's not being cranked up to provide the folks that's paying for it some type of relief when it gets hot. Because it's just sitting there. And I'm trying to figure out. Now, the last time I asked the questions about it, I said, oh, yeah, man, you got to have that thing turned on for a long period of time and yee. Well, turn it on. If we know we're going to have some hot temperatures, turn it on. If you know you have to fix, because we're using the terminology, you are strengthening the grid, turn it on. Let me know what we paying for, because it's on your bill and it's on my bill. Why? To look good? For you to say we got bragging rights? Because you want to help your folks to have stock? What is it? You're a spokesperson, Bo Tidwell. Used to work for the city. He knows how to speak to the city. Make it a point so that all of us will feel better. Nobody wants to sit in the dark for 7 hours. Hell, all of us sat in the dark, for 4 hours the last time with no warning whatsoever. But if we're going to go through this now, what do you suspect in July and August? What are you waiting for in July and August? Are you going to sit back and say nothing? Is your representative from the city council, that's the regulator for energy, not doing everything that they need to do? Do you need some answers? Ain't it time for you to speak up? I would tell you, yes, it is. Speak up now, because it's coming less than 30 days away. And if you're not prepared, your new nickname might be barbecue, because that's what you're going to feel like. It's going to be hot this summer, y'all. I think last summer, it made all of us think about how hot it is out here, because whoever thought that we would have heat indexes or feels like temperatures that are 118 degrees, and we reached that last year. You don't think it's coming again this year? Sit back and say nothing, and you will find out real quick, fast, and in a hurry why they call you barbecue. Why they are calling you barbecue. And as high as our bills are, you're going to pay for it. Pay for it to work. And then on the other hand, I got to say this, then I'm going to leave it alone. Watch Who Buys Cleco. Y'all do know that Cleco is for sale now, right? Watch Who Buys Cleco. And then watch how the courts also get involved in it as they start talking about, are you doing something bad? Meaning you're combining two energy sources together and there's no competition, because they got the whole marketplace. But watch who buys Cleco, because it is for sale. I'll leave it alone, because the judges are listening too. Y'all getting ready to hear my phone start going ding-ding. All right, this is what we got. Our good friend Jeff is in the building. Y'all want to know a lot about what's going on with the Army Corps of Engineers, especially all my folks in the Lower Ninth Ward. Jeff said he ain't playing with y'all. I'm sorry, bro. I didn't mean to set you up like that. He's going to come in and have some conversation with us, too, because there's a lot of conversation. A lot of folks are trying to hear the information about what's going to happen with the locks, all the different things that's happening with the Army Corps of Engineers. So he'll be in here in just a minute to give us that. That was a good setup, though. That was a good setup for you. You want the phones to ring and everything. Man. Here we go. More coming up in just a minute, y'all. We'll take our break here and have some news, and we'll be talking with Jeff Williams next. Everybody hold tight.
From the campus of Xavier University, WBOK Go and Equity Media Station.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Elon Musk is suing New York over its new hate speech law, calling it a free speech violation. The law requires social platforms to reveal how they handle hate and disinformation. Musk filed suit as the law takes effect this week, hoping to block enforcement. Testimony has begun in a federal lawsuit challenging voting maps drawn by North Carolina's Republican-led legislator in 2023. Plaintiffs, including the NAACP and Common Cause, argued the maps were designed to weaken black voter strength and secure GOP wins. Republicans deny racial intent, claiming the redistricting was legal. And 4 white men accused of beating a black man at Pike's Pub near Fort Wayne appeared in court Monday. All face battery and criminal recklessness charges and are barred from contacting victim James Simmons. The suspects are allegedly tied to the Outlaws motorcycle gang. A 5th man, Justin Wirt, has not yet appeared. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. Welcome back. About a minute after 5 o'clock on our way home. Please drive with care and keep your dial locked in. A lot to talk about because he is in the building. Jeff Williams from the Army Corps. Is that USACE? UACE? What is it? What do you call it?
United States Army Corps of Engineers.
It's Army Corps of Engineers, but I don't know if you call it UACE or what.
Army Corps of Engineers. Corps of Engineers.
Welcome, because this is not your first rodeo here either.
No, I was on last week, last Tuesday with Dr. Wyatt. Got some good feedback, so wanted to get some more information out there. We're glad to be here to tell our story. So
I put a whole big project that's not your project in your lap just about 2 or 3 minutes ago.
You did in the IHNC lock. That's not in my portfolio.
Come on, bro. You gonna tell me all the stuff? You can tell me all the stuff about what's going on over there, man.
No, I look. It's not in my portfolio. Look, it's a project. It's a big major project. I know a little bit about it. I do know it's a lot of community involvement. The folks on that team, they stay involved. It gets contentious at times, but just like everything we do, we want to make sure that the public is always engaged as we're required to be by regulation and law.
But your projects, good Lord, is your project actually bigger than that one? Because I know that's $1 billion project, but I can look at your projects and say your projects go from one parish to the other.
It does. So I have 2 big projects in my portfolio.
Okay.
I am senior project manager in the Lake Pontchartrain vicinity branch.
Mm-hmm.
So that's our branch. And I have the PCCP pump station pump repair project. Those were built by us years ago and discovered some corrosion during its operation.
Was that last year?
No, that was actually back in 2022.
Okay.
When they were first discovered. We can get into that. And the second project, which is under construction right now, is the West Shore Lake Pontchartrain project, which is a project that's about 18 and a half miles of levees, flood walls, pump stations from St. Charles Parish, mostly in St. John Parish.
Is this the one they've been waiting for forever?
It is. It is. Been a thought and a study 20, 30 years ago, but in 2012, after Hurricane Isaac, under the Obama administration, that was when the project was finally authorized. And then
I'm trying to think who was the parish president at St. John at that time.
At that time, I'm not sure.
But she was dogmatic about it. She would be on the show talking about it. And I think the only time where I saw the state really move, not the Army Corps of Engineers, but the state, was when folks couldn't get past that flooding that was going across I-10.
That is, if you go, I think I sent you the fact sheet. That's one of the big things that we talk about in the West Shore Lake Pontchartrain fact sheets that really got the project moving.
Yeah,
is because that's the only
contraflow.
Yeah, that is the only way that folks can evacuate the New Orleans area is I-10. We only have that one east-west route, so that's extremely important. You block that, and it is major.
And if you've ever been in St. John the Baptist Parish, when there is a rising of that water, it's scary. It really is scary. You don't think about those areas being, I guess flooding the way that it was, but when that water come in off Lake Pontchartrain, it comes in quick.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's been a long time coming. Like I said, the study was started decades ago, 2012, authorized, and that was the start of getting it restarted. As you say, parish president, local, state officials, going up to Congress. I must say, look, no matter what your political affiliation is, the one thing that Louisiana congressional and leadership does is they bring home money for these types of projects. And the leadership that we have right now, they do that very well, better than probably anything that we do.
Did you ever think that it was going to take that long?
And I wasn't around before. I was on the West Bank. So after Katrina, my project was I was on the WBV, West Bank and vicinity. So in the previous run, I was a senior project manager. So that was post Katrina. I don't know if you remember, it used to be we needed to finish everything by 1 June 2011.
Yeah.
Working 60, 70 hours a week trying to get it done. We got that
done. So your people like, who are you?
Yeah,
they never saw you.
Yeah, indeed. So, during that time, my focus was on that. I wasn't thinking about West Shore, and then, I kind of got.
I guess more so, my question was, and this is one of the things that I said I knew I had to ask you: is what did take so long for these projects to happen? Because over and over and over and over again, we have seen flooding, we have seen devastation, and I mean, I'm not originally from here, but I've been here 35 years.
Yeah.
And over and over and over again, we see the same thing. What would take so long for those things to happen?
So look, I'm glad. Look, when you said I had a full hour, we can not feel rushed and take my time. But civics, right? We all take, it takes a while, right? So, and it is a project needs to be studied, right? That can take. So first of all, you need to get authorized for the study to happen by Congress. And it's one thing to say, yeah, you authorized to go do the study, but you got to be funded for it. So that needs to be appropriated. Two separate actions. So you go through a study, you go through authorization. It says, okay, we have a good project. It has a positive cost-benefit ratio. That the economics are good. We're going to spend all this money, and it has to have federal interest, right? It's not local. The federal government as a whole has to have some interest in the project, which then the state has to have some interest. So these projects are typically, they are cost shared. In this particular case, 65-35. So the federal government pays
65, and then local state government pays 35.
Absolutely. So then once you have this project, then you say, okay, how much is it going to cost? And they aren't cheap. So the initial price tag on West Shore project was $760 million originally. So, you go through over years, inflation, this, that, lessons learned, other places. We learn things from the PCC pump station that we talk about, and you want to incorporate. Next thing you know, this project is the initial cost is now $1.6 billion, with the entire project with mitigation and future levee lifts is a $3.6 billion project. So you ask, why does it take so long? You have to convince all of these other congressmen who don't live here, who don't care about what's going on maybe in your area, in your community, to why is it important? Why does it have federal interest? Here's why Louisiana gets the money that we do. The Mississippi River, the Gulf of Mexico, the coastal wetlands of Louisiana, they're not just talking points. They're extremely important. There's no Mississippi. I say this with all sincerity. If there's no Mississippi River, there is no United States of America.
Because it goes from one end of the country to the other.
This is one of the reasons why we're a superpower. It is not because of military might. No, all that has a lot to do with it. But the Mississippi River.
And how much commerce?
Oh man, I used to have the number. It is obviously in the mega billions. You add oil and gas. We supply the country's oil and gas. All the grain that comes through all the ports up and down the Mississippi. It is absolutely economic engine driver for the entire country. So when you think about it that way, then it becomes appealing to the rest of the country. Now, to fund these types of projects and why it's important. Because oftentimes you hear all the time, why don't they just move? Well, if there's no people living in South Louisiana, all the things that everybody else in the rest of the country enjoy would not be possible. So we need a place to live and work in order to support a lot of the industry and the commerce that happens that allows.
That's not even putting in the entertainment value of, because I mean, we make money off the entertainment value here with tourism,
right? And that's just a small piece. That's a
right.
small. But listen, everything else that we do, look, and I said this last week on Dr. Wyatt's show, to tell you how important the New Orleans district is. I'm gonna give you some perspective. Over 45 districts in the Corps of Engineers worldwide. That's all over the globe. There's 45 districts. Last year, we obligated about $9 billion all over the world. Well, right here in New Orleans, the New Orleans district at 7400 Leek Avenue, this district obligated $1.3 billion of that. Do the math, 15, 17% or something of the entire core. Of the entire core.
Oh, wow.
That is all the dredging of the Mississippi.
Right.
You don't dredge the Mississippi.
No commerce moving through.
No commerce moving. You got hurricanes shutting everything down. You can't do oil and gas, so you can't move. It's just the work we do here is extremely important, not only to South Louisiana, but to the rest of the country. So, and of course, the West Shore Project, it's going to protect 60,000 residents and all the structures and everything that's associated with it, business, homes, the whole 9 yards. So we don't do these projects just because they're a nice thing to do. They actually have economic benefit.
But do you think that folks really understand what the Army Corps of Engineers does? And
no, they don't, which is why I'm here. Our leadership, Colonel Jones and Deron Elsie, one of the things that they want us to do, as project managers and senior leaders in the organization, is to tell our story. We haven't done a good job of that in the past. So we're trying to do a better job.
Because if y'all don't do what you're doing, we don't move. Nothing in South Louisiana moves. We have a lot of broken infrastructure. We sitting back wondering what's going on, but you all kind of work silently. It's not a big promotional gig or anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it's kind of like you were talking about Entergy on your last segment, right? All we want to know is turn our water on, and we want it to be clean,
right?
And we drink it because we want to turn the light switch on,
and it works.
That's it. There is a ton of effort, work, and energy that it takes for someone to get that light, that clean water, but you pay for it, you want it, and that's what we do. So if we are doing our job and doing what we're supposed to do, hopefully there's no Katrinas, which we're celebrating. And if you talk about that, there's a lot of lessons learned. And when I talk about how does it take so long, and you asked me we talked about appropriations and studies, and the Lake Pontchartrain Vicinity Project and the WVV project were authorized decades before Katrina.
I didn't know that.
Decades. It's authorized, right?
Right. When you say authorized, but that's not funded.
Yes, that's not funded.
Right.
So when they were you funded a little bit, a few $1 million this year in the presidential budget, a few $1 million that year, a few $1 million that year, a few $1 million. So the LPV and the WBV system prior to Katrina was a system in name only. It was not a system. I mean, just think, if you got, just a levee around your house, I'm good, right? But if you cut a hole in it, doesn't matter. Do you have all the rest of the 90% of it is really, irrelevant, right? So after Katrina was one of the first times in the history of the country that not only was the system fully funded that was already authorized decades prior to Katrina, it also was authorized and fully funded at the same time to get us to the 100-year level that we are today, to the tune of about $14.1 billion, which is the HSRA system that we all enjoy, that we have.
So let me go to something real quick. So maybe you might knock this out right now. The Army Corps of Engineers, when we started talking about Katrina and the levees, how many times do you get that question? Were the levees really broke? Did they blow up? How many times you get that question?
Yeah, we hear it all the time that didn't happen, right? We understand. Look, I've been here all my life. I've been here all my life, so I understand the cultural significance and history of Betsy and this and all of. So I get it and understand that's not the case. You had failed levees. We had every part of the city flood. The parts that didn't flood is simply because they're on a ridge and high ground. That's it.
So when you look at those, and I'm using my hands here on this one part, but when you look at those levees, was that a failure of the levees or a failure of engineering? Meaning that was because the water was pushing up against those levees, right?
Yes.
And it was eroding. But how far did it erode?
Yeah, look, it's a little bit of both, right? And there's a lot of levee, lessons learned. And it all works together.
Because nobody's going to get it completely right every single time. But, how long did those things last forever and a day?
Until they don't.
Until they don't, right.
Right. But no, listen, we used to have eye walls. We know that the failure, and we have a lot of redundancies, right? So I don't want to get here and get too techie, on us, but we know, and I'm going back and forth to PCCP. We know if Katrina, we had failures at 17th Street Canal in London,
right,
in those areas, right? So that was the Lake Pontchartrain water getting back down to the outfall canals, which didn't cause.
And it was pushing back in.
Right.
Right. Okay.
So, and you had eye walls there, just sheet pile driven. Now we have T walls, is a big inverted T. Those flood walls you see with super, deep pile supported structures along those canals. So which we learned from, learn from the Dutch.
Yeah, I get ready
all over the world,
because they did a lot of the dewatering of the system.
All over the world. Lessons learned from a geotech standpoint, from a structural standpoint, from eye walls to T walls. All of those things were implemented in the new system. Now, those walls that you see there now, they are redundant. Why is that? Well, now we have perimeter protection. So I'm going to get back to the PCC pump station.
Okay.
So now we have gates at the perimeter at all three of those canals.
And they shut down.
They shut down. So those gates close. Now you can have all of this water pushing up from Lake Pontchartrain. It doesn't even get in the canal.
Right.
So it should never, those flood walls that
shouldn't
fails,
have to worry about that.
You shouldn't even see those. Even though they're there, they're redundant. And the PCC pump stations, what are they for? So in normal times like today, every day in the summer, Sewage and Water Board pump stations are doing their thing down the outfall canal, pumps water into Lake Pontchartrain.
So I was one of those guys that were here during that time and on the air. And I forgot who the colonel was at that time, but he invited all of the media folks to come out there and see them turn on those pumps and move that water. I got to tell you, I was like, we need to get up out of here. I ain't never seen nothing like that in all my life.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot. I think Chief Rondino and President Garuba were here earlier with Dr.
Scared the crap out of me, man. I was
it's
like,
about
oh, no.
Fill up the Superdome in a very short time,
very,
like
very
an hour.
short seconds.
Yeah, 90 seconds.
Yeah. You got to take a break. Okay, we'll take a break. We'll come back with more in just a minute, y'all. Everybody hold tight.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat, brought to you by FidelityWealthManagement.com. The National Black Farmers Association has been pushing for change since the 1980s.
We were organized to help eradicate discrimination at government agencies and state, federal levels. And we've been doing this kind of work for a very, very long time.
That's National Black Farmers Association founder and president John Boyd. Today, he says farmers are facing a new kind of adversity, stemming from the Trump administration's tariff policies.
Many Americans don't know that farmers are price takers. We're not price givers. So my price is based on the market.
Market volatility surrounding tariff uncertainty is impacting almost every industry, including farmers. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Working as a dedicated Fidelity advisor, I always ask, what's important to you? I'll look at those priorities and goals alongside your full financial picture to build a comprehensive plan designed to help grow and protect your wealth. With proactive portfolio insights and an eye on taxes, I'm here to help you make the most of your money. I'm Laura Maxwell, and I'm a dedicated Fidelity advisor. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
Now more than ever, Lowe's knows you don't just want a low price, you want the lowest price. And with our lowest price guarantee, you can count on us for competitive prices on all your home improvement projects. If you find a qualifying lower price somewhere else on the same item, we'll match it. Lowe's, we help, you save. Price match applies the same item, current price at qualifying retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how we'll match price at lowes.com/lowest price guarantee.
This is Monica Pierre along with Sally Ann Roberts Daybone, co-host of Your Power is On.
Tune in Sunday mornings from 7 to 8 a.m. for music that feeds the spirit. Get your Sunday on.
Right here on WBOK 1230 a.m. and WBOK1230.com, the station you listen to all day long.
Connect with NOLA Public Schools. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and X for the latest updates. Sign up for District Digest, our official newsletter where we share district achievements, celebrate student successes, and keep you informed about our vision of providing a high-quality education. And don't miss our school board meetings. Watch in person or live stream on YouTube. Stay informed, stay engaged. Visit NOLAPublicSchools.com today. Again, that's NOLAPublicSchools.com.
Hi, this is Cary Grant. Let's elevate every Tuesday through Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. as we discuss the community, the country, and the world, from politics to current events and sports. We look forward to your input and continuing the quality programming on your community station, WBOK. Join us every Tuesday through Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m. on Elevated Conversations, the Arnie and Cary Show.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM. Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. Conversation today. Much needed conversation, I got to tell you. Our guest in the building, Mr. L. Jeff Williams. What's the L for, America?
Lewis.
Lewis?
Yes.
Really?
It is. So if you went to school with me, you probably called me Lewis.
Somebody called you. Somebody asked me who Lewis was, and I was like, I didn't even know. Now I'm bumped.
That's me. So if you, like I said, if you went to school,
Where'd
high school with me, I actually went to Riverdale, and
we're not gonna talk about Riverdale.
It's all good. Yeah, I went to Riverdale.
Where's Riverdale?
Jefferson Parish on Jefferson Highway.
We're not gonna talk about it. I thought you were going
to
say.
I'm born and raised in New Orleans. I grew up in Gentilly. My mom taught at Riverdale. So she dragged me over there.
That's enough right there. You said your mom.
That was a
you
wrap.
Had to go. You had no choice.
No, I didn't have a choice.
She taught there and you went there? Oh, that had to be. I'm that kind of kid. Yeah. I went to school, but I'm in North Carolina. And my grandmother worked there. You smart.
Yeah, I went there.
You had no choice.
I remember, and I didn't have, I always tell a story. My dad's, he get one talk. Son, you going to school with your mom. Don't embarrass my wife. That was the talk. So
your dad said that?
Indeed.
Oh.
So everything was cool.
Yeah. You ain't had no choice.
No problem.
I just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your projects, because I think that all of us, we could probably go on and on and on about it, because I got about 5,000 questions.
Oh, good. That's why I'm here.
But your projects have to do with how many different parishes?
So, yeah.
St. James, St. John.
St. Charles, Orleans, and Jefferson, if you count.
So about 5 parishes. Mm-hmm. And that's 18 miles.
Well, no, the West Shore project
Oh, okay.
alone
I'm
in
sorry.
those 3 parishes is 18 miles. But the Lake Pontchartrain Vicinity project, that's
Mhm.
in itself is probably like the system that the LPV, the Flood Protection Authority, that they have as an asset already is like over 100 miles of levee. But my particular projects, the PCC projects, are at those pump stations
Right.
that you see on Lake Shore, those 3. And then West Shore is 18 and a half miles from St. Charles, in St. Charles, St. James, and St. John's Parish.
When is it authorized to use those pumps? When do we know that we can count on the movement of that water? Because this is about movement of water.
Great question. So, is an important question that I want to make sure people understand.
Mhm.
So I'm going to take my time under normal circumstances every day. Today, Sewage and Water Board probably run its pumps. Our pumps aren't doing any, not, the PCC pumps, not ours, because they're asset of Flood Protection Authority. They don't run.
Mm-hmm.
So normal circumstances, Sewage and Water Board pumps the water to the outfall canals into the lake.
That's it.
Regular day. Hopefully, we
When
never
there's
have
a
to
rain.
When it's a normal rain event.
When we see the water down that canal on right there going down past, what is that, the Palmetto?
Yeah.
That's
All
not
of that.
you.
None of that.
None.
That's not the PCP.
You
not
see
at
how
all.
full that thing be?
Understood.
Y'all can't pump
Nothing
that
to do
out?
with PCCP. No, we can't do anything. So, to answer your question, these pumps are only operational during a storm event. So there's certain trigger points when the lake gets to a certain level,
Mhm.
and there's something in the Gulf, storm brewing in the Gulf, tropical storm, hurricane, whatever it is. Once those trigger points are met, those gates are closed.
That's when it's happening.
So those gates are closed. Sewage and Water Board is still pumping. We have enough capacity at the PCC pump stations to match, right? So whatever they have, we have to match their capacity to get it out. And some of the stations like PCCP, there's actually more capacity. At 17th Street Canal, there's more capacity. So
Mhm.
everything that they have between those 3 stations, we have enough capacity at the PCC station. So now the gates are closed, but it's still raining during the storm, right? So they're getting water out of the street, but with those gates closed, they can't get out to the lake. That's when these pumps get the water from inside of the system, outside of the system.
So you're not just pumping for Orleans.
Yeah, it's Orleans Parish. Yeah, but no rainwater from Jefferson gets to
That's
17th
what I was
Street
saying.
Canal.
Okay.
It's pumping for
Okay.
Orleans. Yes, it's all Orleans Parish.
And the capacity to pump that water is when there is an emergency or something going on in the Gulf.
In the Gulf, that is causing. And that's most of the time. There's some
I
weird
understand.
times
Right.
where the lake is rising,
Mhm.
but 99% of the time is because there's a storm in the Gulf. There's surge, and that's what this is all about. Rain doesn't really
this
hurt
is-
you. This is storm surge.
But this
what
is
protects you.
still your baby.
Indeed. Well, it isn't anymore. I hope it's not.
I didn't know if you were still.
Yeah, I am.
Not to fix it, but I'm just saying because you had
Yeah.
to go.
Absolutely.
But who makes the decision on turn the puppy on? Let's turn it on.
Yes, that is predetermined. And when I said the trigger points,
right.
that we have what's called a water control.
Okay. All
So our great folks in hydraulic engineering at the Corps of Engineers look at all of these hydraulic models and what's happening when, where. They determine these trigger points.
Mhm.
So it's not a person just saying, oh, I think it's cool. It is already pre-prescribed in the water control manual that says what to do, when, how, where. Follow the script, and we should all be okay.
So one of the things too that scared me, scared might be a little bit exaggerated, but when the inspections started, and then what we saw was there was some rust or corrosion that was happening with those pumps that were new.
Yes.
How did that happen? I know it's water and steel. Might get some rust.
No,
but
and
this was a little bit different.
No, it was a little bit different. So to take you back, back in 2022, pumps at London Avenue kept shutting down. So they test these pumps all the time. So we don't just wait till a storm. We may not have a storm 2 or 3 years
That's
apart.
what happened the day I was out there.
Right.
That was
so,
a test.
so we're testing pumps. They exercise. I keep saying we, the Flood Protection Authority. They exercise, those pumps, and they test them all the time. The pumps kept shutting down. What's happening? They then, because we're the designers and the builders, send a request for technical assistance to the Corps of Engineers. We go out and, make a long story short, open up the pipes, do a pump inspection. We see corrosion. Wow. These pumps have a 35-year design life.
Right.
Should not be. They will, like you said, there's some expected corrosion over time, over 35 years,
Right.
not over 4 years.
but
It was from 2018 to 2020, not 4 years, right? So, again, without being too technical, it was some dissimilar metals. Believe it or not, when you have carbon steel touching stainless steel, some other metal, it causes the oxidation to speed up, which is rust. That's what rust is, oxidation. That process to speed up significantly. So that's those dissimilar metals cause that. So that was a design build contract.
So it's a flaw.
So that contract was designed and built by a contractor. It was a design, flaw. Some things we wanted to increase. So there's all kind of lawsuits going on and settlements between and all of that, and I'm not going to get into, but we are past that. They own some of their issues. We, in addition to that, the Corps of Engineers spent an additional $24 million doing these repairs to do even more than what the original design called for, to essentially make most of all the parts stainless steel. And then add cathodic protection, where you send these electric currents to basically slow down oxidation and corrosion. So with all of these changes, and that's what I was talking to you about earlier. So identified in 2022, did the first temporary repair at that station in 2023. So last year, there's 17 pumps total. Last year, we did 4 pumps. This year, we were scheduled to do 8 pumps. And then the balance next year. But
you said
we did all 13. Yeah. So we were scheduled. But, credit to everybody involved, the Flood Protection Authority, the JV who built and designed it, folks, our team at the Corps of Engineers. We did all 13 pumps this year.
You did them all?
Yes, we did all 13 pumps.
All right.
Ahead of schedule. We finished May 30th, 2 days before hurricane season. That was a no-fail mission. I know we don't expect anything to happen. You was like, oh, what difference if it make if it was the second or the third or the fifth? That wasn't an option. Colonel Jones and General Graham, all the way in D.C., they're staunch proponents for meeting your commitments. Do what you say you're gonna do.
Let's get it done.
Like that. Like that's it. So once we made it, look, and it was a decision. Are we gonna open up these last few pumps? Because once we open them up, there's no turning back.
Right.
So if you open them up and you off schedule or slow, now you into hurricane season, and that's a no-fail mission. So the only win for us was to get them all done. We did get that done 2 days before hurricane season, so that was a complete success for everybody involved with that effort.
But I do wonder, when we start talking about flood protection and you hear this, so I want to get your analysis of this.
First of all, can I stop you?
Yeah.
You notice I've never used the word protection. We say risk reduction.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because that was about protection.
Yeah.
It was about protection, because you hear these terminologies. You got 100-year protection, 500-year protection. If you had to put years on it, how are we?
No, so
okay. What did you call it? You said
risk reduction.
Risk
yes.
reduction.
So there's always So there's protection
always
implies
protection
implies that I am safe.
Right.
I am good. And
I need you to kind of clarify that one.
No, it is. So that implies 100% certainty that I have absolutely nothing to worry about. And that's, listen, these are engineered system, design system. Mother Nature does its thing. And when it gets, to doing its thing, sometimes,
nothing we can do about it.
Yeah. So we use the term risk reduction, and I feel comfortable and confident. The system, the HISRA system, the WBV and LPV system that was built after Katrina has been tried, proven, and tested a few times since it was finished in 2011. So I'm comfortable and confident. I would never use the word protection because that, like I said, that implies that you're 100% safe. And we want people to take heed. Like, I have this system, it works. Therefore, I'm comfortable and confident, so I don't have to evacuate, even though people are telling me to evacuate.
No, get out.
And that's why we also want to make sure that we are, telling that story, and we use, risk reduction. That's what the HISRIS, as you hear, say is.
So let me ask this question, because I didn't go there, but we did a little bit, but I want to go here now. And because I asked the question, I said, "These are your puppies. You're the head of a lot of." You said, "Well, I was."
Yeah.
But how did you get to where you are, and now being the person that's ahead of all of these different projects?
Just matriculation, right? So I went to
that's not a good word to use.
No, it is. No, me learning. So I'll tell you. I went to Southern University. I'm a civil engineer. I started off in oil and gas at a refinery, and then pipeline. So even though I was civil, I had a lot of rotating equipment experience. And went to work for the Corps of Engineers on the civil side. And quickly, look, the reason I went to work there, look, we know government employees don't make a lot of money.
But it ain't a lot of us either in these positions. Understand where I'm going without me going a little bit.
No,
further.
I got you. But I'm happy to say the number one civilian that works alongside with Colonel Jones is.
Okay.
So he is. So first ever, but he's awesome. Doing a great job. Local, same thing, UNO guy. So I went to Southern. And I got an MBA from Tulane. So I'm born and raised, and there's when you work for the Corps of Engineers, government employees, there's good benefits and all that, but it's not one of the highest payings. You can go make a whole lot more money working in private industry. So when you work for the Corps of Engineers, especially when you get higher level, it's because you're a servant. You want to be there. So for me, I've always been about New Orleans. I'm a New Orleans guy. So after Katrina, I had a friend who worked there. I was like, man, we got all of this work, got this $14 billion to spend. You need to, come check it out, And I did. Went there, absolutely love it, fell in love with it because I wanted to find a way to help my community.
Right.
That's it. That was just the bottom line. I was a licensed contractor, was helping friends rebuild houses after Katrina. It was just really for my own stuff. And then it grew to something else. But so it was always about helping the community. And I quickly became a senior project manager, producing results. So when I say matriculation, listen, it is results driven, right? Over the time, I moved on to I was the chief of shops over a lot of our higher labor units, and then came back to project management to work on the West Shore Lake Pontchartrain project. So, I'm a hard driver. It's about results. When you work in the Army, you work for the Army. That's what it is. We're Army. It is go get it. What's the mission?
Right.
Let's go head down, do the work, but not a bull in the china shop kind of way, but just mission focus. We have important work to do, like I talked about earlier, and I understand that, and I appreciate it, and I know the benefit it has to the community. So that's kind of what drove me to where I am today.
With your projects, what do you want to see? I mean, what do you look? I know you want them to complete.
Yeah.
I know that's going to be one thing, but what do you see that's going to be the benefit for your community if you want to break that down?
Yeah, I mean, look, with the PCCP one, look, I want those pumps to have, I believe they're going to, they have their, we call it a 35-year design life. I know the work that we did. My expectation that they're around a little bit longer than that. But if we've done our job, which I think we have, those pumps will last 35 years.
No more
of the
corrosion.
operation, no more corrosion, no more any of that. So when there's a storm in the Gulf, we close those gates and those pumps come on. Now, as far as the West Shore Lake Pontchartrain, I'm hoping that there is no more. The goal, not hoping, and we will get there, is not to have any Idas and Isaacs and any of that when we complete these systems. And again, I don't know how much time we have. And also, look, there's another important, unique thing about the West Shore project. Again, without getting too much in it, when we do a project, federal government is held to a high standard. We don't just get to go and build levees and flood walls and knock down trees and swamps and do all of this stuff and say, oh, well, Mr. Environment, this is for the benefit of the other community, so you got to suffer, right? So when we do projects, we have to mitigate. So bottomland hardwood, we have swamp mitigation. And the West Shore project is a super hard project because it's in the middle of the swamp. It's literally in the middle of the swamp. Have you been down I-10 West last year? You see all the cranes and all that in the Plaza project that's going underneath the interstate.
Is that right there as you drop down at the right at
come
the
off the
106?
spillway? Right there. Yeah. So that's West Shore.
Okay.
So we literally have flood walls under the interstate. You know that's swamp.
Floods.
Yeah.
That's where everybody was like, wait a minute.
Exactly.
The water's coming across.
And that's what it is. So that's in the middle of the swamp. And the cool thing about, so we have to mitigate. We can't, that swamp is valuable. Meanwhile, our partners, CPRA, which is the people who are non-federal sponsors who pay the 35%, they have been having this Marpaw swamp, which is what that swamp is called north of I-10, diversion project going on for years, right? So here comes BP. One thing, BP, a lot of money to do coastal restoration project. Now that project is going. We have the West Shore project. Normally, we do our own mitigation. Either we build other mitigation projects or pay mitigation banks. They have this other project going on where they're getting the swamps and the Marpaw starving. So years ago, you build the Mississippi River levees, and all of that sediment from the river, that mighty Mississippi that we talk about, is valuable sediments to feed the swamp. Right. Well, when you build levees and all of that stuff, you're cutting off that settlement. So now the swamps are dying. That's fisheries that kills off natural barriers that help protect from storms also. So they want to revitalize the Marpaw Swamp. So they building a project that diverts water from the Mississippi down the channel up to the Marpaw Swamp to help develop that swamp. But they said, meanwhile, listen, we got to pay 35%. Y'all have to do mitigation. Can we use this project as mitigation for the West Shore project? So that's what they're doing.
Though.
Yeah, first of its kind ever in the country.
It
First
took me
of its
a minute.
kind.
It took me a minute. You saw my face. You saw my face.
Yeah. So we're using their project as mitigation for the West Shore project, and then they get to use that as cost share.
Yeah. You got to take a break. You got to take a break.
Oh, the mic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You got to take a break, too. Okay. We'll take the break and we'll come back. See, I told you I was going to go by fast.
Yeah,
we got a few more minutes here. We got more coming up, y'all. Everybody hold tight.
AURN News.
I'm Ebony McMorris. A gold-plated phone. The Trump Organization has just unveiled Trump Mobile, a wireless service branded with the president's name and aimed, in the words of Donald Trump Jr., at real Americans. It will also feature a $499 made TI gold-covered smartphone, or so they say. Were critics already dialing in, the monthly price, a not-so-subtle nod to Trump being both the 45th and 47th president. president. The phone, experts say, is virtually impossible to fully manufacture in the U.S. by August. Even Eric Trump hinted it may be more assembled than made. The Trump Mobile piggybacks off of major carriers like Verizon and T-Mobile, but what's different is the political entanglement. A sitting president launching a personal brand inside a heavily regulated industry while still writing the rules? This seems more like self-service than public service. For AURN News, I'm Ebony McMorris.
It's Off the Top with Norman Robinson on WBOK 1230 AM.
We've seen enough, we've heard enough, and damn it, we've had enough. The apparent sentiments of most of the citizens in a just-released poll by political analyst Ron Fauché in reference to all things New Orleans. The survey included some 800 residents polled by phone between May 27th and June 4th. Only 28% of those polled believe the city is moving in the right direction, which, in my opinion, comes as no big surprise. The survey indicates that with a drop in the rate of crime, the city's crumbling infrastructure problem has now become the number one concern. Street repair and maintenance, traffic signals, sewage and drainage. In fact, the Sewage and Water Board scored worst among all city agencies, with an approval rating of only 14%. The survey indicates a dissatisfaction with city leadership in government, with only 27% approving Mayor LaToya Cantrell's job performance overall, and her handling of streets and drainage scores even lower at 21%. No pun intended, folks, but the road ahead for the next mayor is riddled with potholes of frustration and anxiety. And with the next election just a few months away, New Orleans residents are not feeling good about their city. Clearly, they want, need, and deserve a change for the better. This is Norman Robinson, Off the Top.
Hey everybody, it's Graylin Bryant Banks
and Kimber White Dupree
from the front porch.
Some combos are too good to miss. Now you can pull up a chair to the front porch anytime.
Just search WBOK Media and subscribe to the Front Porch Podcast.
Download, share, and hit us with a 5-star rating because New Orleans culture deserves to be heard loud and clear.
Are you passionate about community safety and police accountability? Tune in to The Monitor's Mic, where we talk about oversight, policing, and you. Hosted by the Office of Independent Police Monitor, we're here to shine a light on policing issues that matter, from real-time policing updates to in-depth interviews. Get the facts and stay informed. We're breaking down complex issues, highlighting community voices, and holding people behind the badge accountable. Join us for an informative hour every Friday at noon on WBOK. Your city, your police, your show. The Monitor's Mic.
Hey, New Orleans, look for important changes to your natural gas service. This summer, Delta Utilities takes over for Entergy Gas with a Louisiana-born, Louisiana-based approach to safe, clean, reliable natural gas. No interruptions or rate changes due to the transition, just dependable service and modernized technology to keep you running smoothly. Get to know us at deltautilities.com and stay tuned for more later this summer. Delta Utilities, focused on natural gas, committed to New Orleans.
Saints of God, it's time for us to tell you the truth. It's time for you to start your 21-day challenge. Don't take another day. Do it right now. Call 504-701-4711. That's the whole water stove, Pastor David Impartan Sr., the host of Change Your Water, Change Your Mind. This is the water that's designed to change your body, the way you think, the way you act, and the way you look. Why don't you start your 21-day challenge today? For $35, you can start it right now. Call me so we can set up your appointment. 504-701-4711. That's 504-701-4711. Change your water, change your mind.
WBOK and LCMC Health are proud to present Keeping You Well Cafe. 60 Minutes with LCMC Health, where the doctors speak directly to the people of New Orleans. LCMC Health is committed to improving the quality of care here in New Orleans, the Gulf South, and beyond. The Keeping You Well Cafe is another way for LCMC Health to engage with the community. At the Keeping You Well Cafe, LCMC Health joins WBOK and local businesses to answer your questions about wellness and health.
Hello, I'm Gary Clark. Please tune in to Dr. Clark 101, The Living Classroom, which is broadcasted weekly every Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. on WBOK 1230 a.m. on your dial. And as always, it's been a pleasure.
New Schools for New Orleans wants to wish all of our students, teachers, and administrators a great summer break. Use this break as an opportunity to relax and reflect on all of you've accomplished this year. We can't wait to celebrate your success in the coming months.
When you talk, we listen. WBOK. Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks. Just a few more minutes left here as we have a conversation. Some very important information here that everybody needs to talk to Mr. Lewis.
I'll take it.
That's your name, man.
Indeed.
I was like, wait a minute. He went to Jefferson Parish School, and you from New Orleans. But when you said your mama taught over there, I said I understood because I did the same thing. My grandmother was in the school. I had to go to that same school too.
Yep.
What I asked you the question too that somebody said, and now here's the somebody said segment of the show. Somebody said since they didn't put that Mr. Go in, that water when it bounces off that Mr. Go, that it goes all the way down to from the Wrigley's all the way down to Laplace in that area. That's a fib. That's fiction.
I'm just going to say the hydraulic data don't support that assertion. I'll say that. Right?
What does that mean, bro?
That means that's probably not happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was about to do my Charlie Brown teacher.
Yeah.
So this project that you're working on now is going to do what for how long? And what are your expectations?
Yeah, so we talked about PCCP, and the next West Shore contract is going to do it forever, right? Now, I say forever. We design a system that is supposed to handle a quote unquote 100-year storm, meaning a storm that 1% of the time that happens. Now we do know that with subsidence and sea level rise, which some folks don't believe in, but
I was going to ask you about that.
The science say different, but with subsidence, we know everything settles. Look at our street conditions, look at your houses and everything else. So imagine having levees. So with settlement, sea level rise, the level at which is 100-year level changes, right? So that's why it's a $3.6 billion project, which is what we call future levee lifts. So the levee is going to subside and it's going to settle, but we put more back on top of it. So that part of the project is authorized, but not funded just yet. So that next level, it'll be to 2070, right? So when we go to the 2070 level, we do that levee lift, and then we'll probably all be gone. By then.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, right. But even still, at some point, down the line, we're going to be there's going to be another Jeff Williams sitting here talking about we need to do more levee lifts or some other.
I'm expecting you to roll right on in here. Notice what I said, roll.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. I'll take it. Right. So that ain't 2070. That's not that long. I can be around by then.
So one of the things though that I brought this up in the conversation, and I really don't think that folks really understand what you do or what the Army Corps of Engineers does, and I think that a lot of folks get it to the point where they think that you all get it wrong. But there's studies that are being done. There's not a project that y'all just get the equipment and let's go dig.
No way.
So there are studies that are being done. I heard you say y'all are also sitting back and looking at, the surrounding areas of the project too. So there's a lot of intelligent young men and women that are working with you to say, these are the things that we found out. And then you put it all together with a group.
Yeah, absolutely. So as a project manager, we lead a multi-discipline team to achieve a mission.
And it takes time.
We're talking about lawyers, accountants, engineers, hydrologists, environmentalists, people within our building that's like, hey, you can't do that. So everything, is.
So let's do this. Let's make it a point that you come back.
Absolutely.
Have some more conversation with us. Tell us about, hey, we started that project we were talking about. Let me tell you where we are with it.
Yep.
So
and
then,
have some of my other colleagues come to talk about this stuff.
absolutely.
With IHNC and those people. That's an important project. I know that your listenership is fully engaged. So look, man, we're not afraid to tell our story because I know we do it. We even went to the Ninth Ward Community Job Fair.
Okay.
If there's any opportunity for us to go tell our story, we're there. So I will commit to doing that. And look, go get some of my colleagues, come talk.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Good to hear from you. Good that you came. I'm glad that you came and shared with us. We got to do it again sometime soon too. But keep up the good work.
Thanks for having me, and just know that we're doing important work. We're going to continue to do it. We'll be right here.
Good to see you too, brother. All right, we got more coming up, y'all. Everybody hold tight. Are we doing they're here? Carrie's here? Carrie and Arnie coming up. All right, y'all. We'll see you tomorrow.